podcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi Ruth, can you hear me? Hi Amy, yes,
Hi,
can you
yeah.
hear me?
Yeah, brilliant. I'm so sorry about that this morning. The train's going into London, of course, late as usual. So, yeah, with one-on-one, it generally takes a bit less time anyway. Um, so we should be all right. We'll leave you kind of off mute because then if it's just one-on-one, we can ask questions as you're going along. Can you hear me okay and see my screen okay?
Yes, it's fine.
Brilliant. So we're doing the admin training today. So the super user or admin teams side of it, it is recorded, so I can send it on to you afterwards as well. So
That's great.
if you do forget anything, then it's always there. There'll be videos that come in soon, and there's also a manual that you should have been sent already. So when you log on, you'll see this welcome screen, this home screen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run through what you see on your homepage with a couple of the updates, and then I'm going to run through this side panel in sort of a logical order so that you know sort of where you need to go. Yours should look the same as mine. Mine can just take a little bit longer to load the courses and things because I've got so many on them with it being a demonstration site. So as you can see at the top here, you've got that blue bar which says there's a new October release. This is just new things that we keep continuously releasing in our roadmap. So currently, as the admin and super user side, this homepage looks a little bit boring. All it has is your summary of what you get included in your package, the license that you can have a look at any time, and resources, which is pretty bare at the moment. As of it's coming on, well, it should be happening overnight tonight, but latest Monday, you will then see in the resources a load of videos of how to that we've recorded. We've just done sort of, to find this, click on here, and then a bit of a helpful link. So that will show in there. You will also, rather than it being this kind of plain text image and the system summary being down here, you'll have a load of dashboards that are coming. So it's like donut charts of, this is how many companies you've got, how many trainers, how many active and inactive learners. So it'll be more of a visual homepage, which once you open it up, it's quite self-explanatory as to detail in there, and you can click into the charts and it will drill down into the more detailed information for you. So keep an eye out for that. Like I say, it should either be ready for tomorrow or Monday. So the first bit's just to note is up there, if you can see my mouse over that little, we call it the avatar, it's that person. On that settings tab, you can either change the avatar's picture, your password, it's where you log out. But these two here, you've got your notifications and your preferences. So preferences is just how you prefer to see the system. So whether it be in like your icons being bold, font size, what you prefer your charts to be, for example, donut or bar charts, what you want to see as a snapshot view of all the learners. Which I'll show you in a second when we come to the learners. But over the snapshot right now, it shows your units, the RAG rating, and the progress. Sorry, but you can add more into your snapshot there. The other one that you've got is your notifications. Now, if the only system that you're using is the super user or admin system, then you'd probably want to put your email address in there. Change that to a daily digest, so it's just if anyone messages you internally, like assessors or IQAs, etc., you'll get a notification of that. It's more important for the assessors and IQAs and learners, but it's just something that you might want to consider setting up. Okay, so now we go to the bits down the side here. Generally packages, not many people have packages anymore, it's quite the old-fashioned style. But courses is where you'd click on first. So when you open up your courses, every course that you've asked for program qualifications within this list. Obviously I've got a big list, so it just takes a minute. So it'll all show like this. The idea then is that you can tailor and customize these courses to suit you. If there's any additional resources or forms or questionnaires that you want to build in, this is where you would do it. So if I just take a generic sort of business admin, is that okay?
Yeah.
just to
Fine.
demonstrate off. Are you doing standards or frameworks or a mixture of both?
So we're currently on frameworks with another awarding body, but we will be moving to standards with yourself is what we've put in for.
Okay, great. So your awarding body one, I think I've got like a Pearson one looking around there. So I've got Pearson level 3 in construction at the bottom. So it's showing exactly the same way. But this one's an apprenticeship training manual business admin. So this is your business admin. We've built in all the training manuals, which basically puts the standards into the same structure as a framework to help you and the assessors to know what to do and what order to work through, because we're very aware that the government kind of went, here's these standards, off you go, and everyone went, well, where do we start? So we've built them in for you. If they're not built into the programme that you've got already, it will be coming because we're doing it for all of them. It's just some of them, obviously, the newer they are, it may not have been built, but this one is. So once you click into the little edit button, it will give you the properties of the course, and then at the top here it will say course builder. If you click into there, it will give you a list of every what we have called them as tasks. Also sort of similarity would be like a framework a unit in the frameworks. So we've broken up everything within the standards into here. Now you can add resources and tasks and anything you like at different levels. So the first level is adding a new unit. Some of my training providers and colleges will create a review unit. So all their reviews will sit in a unit at the bottom of their programme. It just keeps it all together, make sure that it's done like sort of your 4 weekly, maybe your 16 week, or it just structures it a little bit more. So you can create a new unit. You don't have to give it any credits or anything. You can just create it from scratch and it will show up here. So then you may do, I'll just use review as a basic review, and then you go monthly reviews, and then you can create it down as if you had like what's expected. So how have you got on, what have you done? So it's structured as in like the unit, the outcome, and then the criteria. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But you can design whatever units you like, and like I said, they don't have to go towards any credits. So you could build this for your own induction pack if you've got one. You could put that in there. You can add in within there documents of your own. So it might be if you've done an induction one, you might have like your learner guidance, your policies and procedures, your prevent, your safeguarding. All of that would be uploaded into here. And then you've also got a form builder. Now this is where if you wanted to check understanding of there, you can create your own forms. Now people seem to love this at different levels. If you imagine frameworks like your UPK questions, so when I was an assessor years ago, I would type them all up from the standard, and then I would have them, they'd be there on my computer for either emailing out to learners or printing off. And then when a new assessor joined, I'd be like, oh, here's, take this, save you a bit of time. They're already typed out for you. A year later in the standardisation, it would come round and everyone's got a different set of questions that started off as the original one. This can help that standardisation as well. So to build a form, you go from scratch and then continue. And then it will load up something that we call a form builder. So that might have been your introduction documentation. And then you've got intro quiz, for example. So you might want to check their understanding on prevent, on safeguarding, on what's expected from them as a learner. And then in your add a field, you can go into creating questions. So you might want, what is prevent? And then the learner, when they get it, would type it in here. You might have a selection box. So this is your first, second, third choice. A drop down, it might be that you have a radio button. So you can really design it how you want. And then this opens up as almost, it looks like a writable PDF. And then the learners can see it on their phones, on their tablets, on their PC. They can just type in or text in the answers and press save, and it maps it straight through to this unit that you've attached the form to. You can give field permissions. So your very bottom box, you might say assessor, or whatever you decide to call them, tutors, coaches, assessor feedback in here, and then field permissions. So the only people who can modify this field would be the assessor. And then you could do learner feedback or IQA feedback, and then you can lock out them boxes so that they're the only people that can edit that, which gives it a way for your feedback to go in, and then the learners can acknowledge that they've seen that. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's your form builder within your own unit. I'm just going to go back out of there. So that's your unit in the bottom, but you can also, within units that are already created, so let's go professional behaviours, you can then click in and edit that again. So if you've got, your new standards have come along and there's a documentation or a resource that you find really useful that you use already that fits into another section of this, you can add in, again, your own documentation and your own form, and then you can build forms again. So you can do it at that deeper level. So not only within units you're creating yourself, but within units that we've already built, you can customize them a little bit.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, so when I was saying about the forms that we've already built in for the apprenticeship training manuals that you'll get when you come over to standard, or the forms that you build yourself, if I click on here, it will show you what they look like. I see ours has a bit of branding on, but it's the same image as what the forms would show. Okay, so all of this is put into some questions for you. So describe the punctuality in your role, importance of presentation, and we'd lay it out like it was the frameworks. But your units that you have would look like this. So there's the question that you've put on, and then the learner would just be able to type in their answers.
Okay.
Okay, so so your resources and forms and things can go at unit level or already within sort of like the task level. Yeah, so you're happy with the courses that you can go in and have a look and view them? Fab. So setting up your system for your companies, team members, learners, the thing that we say to do first is always to set up the companies. Now, this will be what you'll set up a company for yourself, and then you'll set up all your other, like your learners' employers, if they're going around.
So if we sort of we work with, confusing me. All my apprentices are county council, although some sit within certain departments of the county council.
Yeah.
So would I set different departments, or would I just set up Devon County Council?
No, you set up your different departments. I did this with Lincoln County Council the other day, so I think it'd probably work out quite similar. So they'd set up themselves as Lincoln County Council, and for you, Devon County Council. And then all your staff members, so your assessors and IQAs and things, will all be set up under that Devon County Council. And then your learners, if they're in HR, you might set up a company being HR Devon County Council, or customer service Devon County Council, whoever that manager might be. So you can name the company whatever you like, but it's just tagging that learner to that place of employment, whether it be an internal place or obviously external.
Okay.
So yeah, you'd set that up because it's really good for your reporting side of things.
Yeah.
So you'd set up your companies, and then you would go into your team members. I'll show you what to do within the team members, because it's exactly the same for the companies, etc., of how you start it up. Companies, all you need is their name, their phone number, and their email address. It's not mandatory, but that's the information we'd recommend you put in.
Yep.
So to create a staff member, you just go create new staff. You fill in all the appropriate details. It will give you a username automatically. Choose the company. That's where your staff would be, Devon County Council. Password, you can either get it to choose one for you or just set it up as password. It'll prompt them to change it. Their email and phone number, and then you choose what position they are. So there might be an assessor only, or an assessor and an IQA only. When you put in assessor, this box lights up here. It's an alternative title. So they might actually be a coach if you've changed the name, with the reforms and things. You can set up your EQAs, registrars. Work-based recorders is like witness testimonies, but not many people tend to use it so much.
We have been using witness testimonies.
Yeah,
so
people set
them up system or just add it as additional evidence.
Yeah. So people generally give it to the assessor to mark and look over and then upload it. But if you wanted to give the work-based recorder access to the system to do it themselves, then they can do. It's just depending on how that's a sort of a quality decision that you want to make, whether it goes all witness statements go through the work-based recorder, or if they write them out separate, send to the assessor, and then go from there.
I think we probably keep them going via the assessor.
Yeah, it generally seems to be the preferred method.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, assessor, and then you can give them alternative title, and then initial internal verifier if they are. Assessor and IQA would be the same login, but if they were to have something else, then it would be a separate login. If you set up your EQAs on the system, then when they come in, they can actually report on the system.
Okay, great.
So you can see how long they've been in the system, performing, who they've looked at, and the units. Okay.
Cool.
So once you've created, then you then allocate the courses that you want them to assess or IQA. So it's just a tick box of I want them to do business and customer service and whatever that would show us. Then they would sit down here to send them their login details. If you've given them an email address anyway, you click on that little key. Can you see it says send login details?
Yes.
So that's how you can set them up, but it doesn't automatically send it out unless you ask them to. So if you didn't want them to have access to the system straight away without having any training, then you just wouldn't click on the key. But you can edit the courses and the people that they have access to just by going into edit details.
Okay.
So that's the same for your setting up of your team members, your companies, and then your learners. Creating a learner is really easy. You just go create learner at the top, fill out there. You can do as much or as little information as you like for the learner. Obviously, the more information you put in, the more detailed reporting and things you get out of it. But if I go down into here and just create, I'll go forgot how to spell then. Business administrator. Test candidate, you can set up a test candidate if you decide that you want your assessors and IQAs to be able to have a play with them, like a dummy learner, which doesn't use your licenses. So you just click on test candidate. You can put in date of birth if you want. Choose any date. The gender, the company, and that's where you would tie them to your HR department or your customer service department or whoever that line manager that you want to be able to send the reports on to.
Okay.
Yeah. Password, again, either choose one or just put password. I would put in things like their email address, contact details, so that if their manager or assessor needed to get hold of them, then they've got that information in one place ready to go. But only things with a red star are like asterisks are mandatory. So that's up to you. Once you've filled out these details, you just go create and then continue with enrollment. Oh, sorry. Once you've continued with enrollment, you do enroll new course. And then you'd select the course that you want them to be on. They can have up to 8 courses at a time, and that is with without using any license or anything. Your metrics is your on and off the job hours and whether you want that to be active or not. You'd then choose their assessor and IQA. So you have their primary assessor and their primary IQA down here. You can have secondary if you wanted. The next important thing is your course dates. Now, you need to put in your course dates because if you don't, then it won't work out your learner's progression. I'm going to ask if we can make that like a mandatory field, but that's how the system knows how far along they should be. So your learner's created, this is the course they're on and percent completed. So obviously you can add on functional skills if that was needed, anything like that. Any questions on setting up sort of your company's teams and learners?
No, I mean, I think we might have questions as we go along.
Yeah, so you've got loads of support in place. So obviously myself, by email or phone. If I don't get hold of you because I'm out and about training, then you've got our support team in Glasgow, which you may have already spoken to when they set up your webinar. They're on hand in the office 8 till 5 every day. And they live and breathe a learning assistant, and they're really good for you sort of, how do I do this? I've forgotten how to do this. I've messed up and need to undo this. They're perfect for that. So as you're going along, you'll be best friends with them for the first 6 months at least.
Excellent. And how do you add the EQA in?
Through team members, so exactly the same way, but when you, at the bottom, when it gives you the option of assessor IQA, it says external verifier. So you just tick that button and then they would show in this tab here.
And where we've got different, so we've got health and social care already.
Yeah.
And we're looking at sort of business admin and customer service.
Yeah.
Likely that we're going to have different external verifiers for that. How do they see which is their set of standards?
So when it comes, so it's the same way when you set them up, it will say allocate what qualification. So you tick that, and then when they come, you can set as many as you like up, and then when they come along, all you do is you click on the edit button, and it will say allocate learners, and then you just tick box the learners that they've asked to see in their CA2.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. Yeah.
Great. So then I'm going to go to settings and reporting in a second. I'll just run over the things that are sort of additional functionalities that people will probably not use to start off with, but it's an option that is there. So down the bottom, you've got processes. This is things like milestones. It might be, by this point, they need to have achieved functional skills. If you've got a deadline on how long, you want them to have had functional skills done in the first 3 months, for example. So your processes is something, there's a video on that will be uploaded as well by the end of the week. But it's something that normally after a standardization of, what processes do we have set in place that would be good as and then it's like a tick box for your assessors. Yeah. Messages is like your internal messenger system. It's just like an email system. It just depends whether you want to keep using your internal emails or the one through Learning Assistant.
If you use through Learning Assistant, can you link it to any feedback that you're giving or?
Yeah, so there's two ways. The assessors will have something called a contact diary that they'll use to give feedback and assess work and communicate with the learners. You can send emails and then copy it to the contact diary, which then obviously copies it into that learner portfolio.
So when a learner submits work, you can't feed back directly to that piece of work. It's
No, you do it. You do it in the contact diary. So when you press accept or refer, it will pop up the contact diary and say this unit has been accepted, and then the assessor will put in their feedback and any actions that they need. And so that's linked to it. But when we do the assessor training, that will all be you'll see that in sort of the full flow.
Great, yes, because I think that was one of the things I was going to ask about is if we're going to move wholehearted over to it, then I would want assessor training for this.
Yeah, it comes included anyway. It's part of it. We just do the super user first, and then we'll book in your assessor training when you're ready for your assessors to have it.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Forums is works really well when the learners know everyone. It's just a way to get them chatting about the course they're on, having a look at stuck on this. Assessors can put in there, oh, I want you to discuss this topic. Just gets people chatting.
Okay, brilliant.
News and events. So you as a super user can create news and events on here. It shows things you can able to see. So you might say, right, the EQA is coming, and you only want assessors to see that. So you tag it just for the assessors. But that shows on everyone's homepage.
Yeah.
So that's sort of like your additional bits that we have. The last bit, you've got your settings, which you can personalize your homepage text from learner, trainer, etc. So when they log in, that is the homepage. So it might be welcome to Devon County Council ePortfolio. This is where you'll be back, etc. So you can put you can put in here, and then they will and date stamp when they've done that and copy it into their learner journey.
Okay.
Okay. So your settings is just about personalising it that little bit more.
Okay.
And then your final tab that you've got is your reporting tab. Now this is just with a little bit more, 2 fingers on my keyboard then. So the first bit here is your learner course status. So this tells you how many learners are active, inactive and complete, how many uploads. The next bit down here is overdue submissions. So this is a graph of how long it is taking your assessors to mark their work. So obviously my assessors at the moment are awful. They've had work uploaded more than 20 days and they've not assessed it and given feedback to the learner. And you can see the key there of what that looks like. And then when you click in it, it will give you who that is, who the assessor is, when it was submitted, and then you can drill down into that detail.
Great.
So then the last sort of report that I think is probably the best one to show people, but they all work in the same stream. And now you can set up reports to be able to run, and they automatically run and send to whoever you want. You can set it up for daily, weekly or monthly. You can create them, and then every time a learner comes on board, it automatically adds it to them. So realistically, once your report's set up, you don't then need to amend it. It will just continue doing until you say so. And then you can report on learners within this company, which then you can send a progress report, for example, to the managers that your learners have so that they're aware.
Okay.
So you go create, and then you might be manager in HR report. You'd save the template, and then you'd choose what you want to report on. So it might be things like their start and end dates, how far they are, if they're on target, on the job and off the job hours, whatever that is that you want them to know, it would filter into here. After that, you would then, which would be for this particular one, the company I want is the HR department. So every learner in the HR department will show on this report. And then where it says order by, it's just what order you want that to show in. I normally go name of learner alphabetically.
Yeah.
And then you can schedule it, if it's to their employer or the manager, it might be every month that you want it to go, on the 1st of every month. And you want it to email them the report directly to their email address. And you want the report attached as a PDF. You could put as many email addresses in there as you want. You can report on as many companies as you could have as many filters in there as you want. You can change PDF to an Excel document so they can edit the information. So once you've pressed save on there, it will then continuously run that report, send it on to who you like, and you can visual that at any time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? And then they will all sit here once they've been completed, and you can open them up as a PDF, as a spreadsheet, whenever you like as well. So you can see the data, it's never hidden from you.
That's good.
Yeah, so the reports you can play with, there's loads of ones that we've kind of put together for learners that you can add in the same structure as I've just done. The trainer reports is how active they are, how many learners they've reports, as I said.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you got any questions on? I know it's all a lot, and once you're sort of in it and you start clicking the buttons, it will sink in a bit more. But have you got any questions in the immediate before we go into your assessor one, when that suits?
The licenses for the portfolio, where would that show up under?
Your license agreement will show here, so that will be whatever you've agreed your license would be. And then here it will give you a summary of how many learners that you've got. So that in total there will tell you how many you've got either enrolled or have completed.
Okay.
But if you were ever nearing the top of your license before you even got there, our Glasgow team would ring you and just say, "Oh, you're nearing the top of your license. Do you want any more added on?" Or you will never, or it will never let you go over it without actually confirming that you're going over it.
That's useful to know too.
Yeah.
Because I know we're going to say, you know, we've already got one, we're already set up with health and social care, and this will be bringing on sort of two different sort of, let's say, qualifications for standards.
Yeah.
So it is going to be new for a few people. I also think we can probably use the system a bit better, especially with your new updates coming out.
Yeah, it's gonna. I not blow my own trumpet. I put into them, and I'm really, really excited. I love them. Coming from an assessor background, I was like, look, this is what we need as you know, from being in the centre. So it'll be really, really good. I'm looking forward to it coming out. It'll be fab.
Oh, that's great. So with the business admin, sorry if I'm asking silly questions.
No, not at all.
So when I was talking to Wesley, he was saying that all the booklets and all the stuff will be within the files. It's the stuff that you were showing me.
Yeah, it's all that. Yeah, and all your it will have all your in your frameworks that you've got at the moment. It will have all them framework standards already put in, so that you know your assessors and learners have got access to see what they need to be doing and what is expected.
Great. And one of the queries that's really sort of come from our frameworks is, I don't think this is going to be quite so relevant where we're moving over to the standards, but within the frameworks you get the criteria, but within you also kind of get extended information about it.
Yeah.
Is there similar things within the standards? Or
that's what the task sort of does by laying it out into what's expected and, you know, what the learner has to achieve what the learner has to have done to achieve this task. Yeah, we've put all of that in there, so it'll be really clear.
That's brilliant. And does the once they're completed, is there like a trigger for the endpoint assessment, or is that a separate process?
It's a separate process with this. Obviously, 3 months in, when we go into the assessor training, there's a bit to help support with your showcase portfolio, but you could always put that in as one of your processes.
Okay, yeah. So it's trying to make it as straightforward and as clear as we possibly can.
Yeah, well, what I would advise is to have a bit of a play with it from your super user admin sort of side of it and how you want it to look. And then when you've managed to do that, then book in your assessor training. But before that, maybe drop me a call and say, you know, this is what we've got for the qualification, you know, this is the things that we've added in that we want the assessors to be able to see, because then you can always create me as a staff member and give me a dummy learner, and I can use your platform to demonstrate on, which would give any resources and processes that you've put in place. I would be able to demonstrate that to your assessors.
Ooh, yeah, that might be really good.
That's why we do the super user a bit before, so that's an option for you.
And can you have more than one?
Yeah, so whoever's got the super user access at the moment, just create them as a registrar, and you can give them all the same access as you've got.
Great. Yes, because I'm not quite sure what Julie set me up as.
No, that's fine. As long as you're as a registrar, you can do the same thing.
Because I know she was having a few problems with it. So when they said, "Do you want some training?" we said, "Yes, please."
Yeah, take it all.
Yeah.
No, but
Yeah,
like
that's
I say, there's anything you need, especially over the next couple of days, because I am stuck down in London and all my meetings have been cancelled for tomorrow and Thursday. So I am readily available at your disposal.